Okay, my name is Vuyo, Vuyo Kazi, but you can call me Vuyo. I'm going to share with you the time that I had to be brave in my life. In 20, on the 12th of January in 2021, my husband was diagnosed with COVID. This is the time when we came from um, Maseri in Lesotho, and we had a wonderful time, but as we came back, my son got sick, and we took my son to the doctor before we arrived at home. My son was admitted and was tested for COVID. I also had to be tested for COVID because at that time, I was not going to be able to be with my son in the hospital. My son tested positive. I stayed. I was shocked. Okay, little did I know that more was coming. Okay, my daughter tested for COVID, but then later on, my husband tested for COVID on the 12th of January. At that time, we were not allowed to visit the hospital, as you know, protocol. And we were hopeful that, okay, he's in the hospital in good hands, he's going to be fine, because my daughter was fine, my son was fine. So how we communicated with my husband was via WhatsApp, a video. Sometimes we go to the hospital just to be around the hospital, so for him to know that, okay, we were at the hospital, just to talk to him. But at that time, he was not able to talk to us, but was talking via WhatsApp. So on the 25th, we were very happy. My husband sent, forgive me for saying my husband. People usually say to me, it's your late husband. He's still my husband. So on the 25th of January, my husband called me to say, look where I'm sitting. He was sitting on the hospital balcony, looking very good because prior to that, he was breathing via the pipe. I can't even remember the name. He was ventilators, yeah. He was breathing through ventilators. But that day, he was looking so good. He was like, okay, look, you know what? I'm going to be discharged from COVID ward, and I'll be discharged to the general ward where I'm just going to be monitored for a couple of days, and I'm coming home. We were so excited. You must cook this, you must cook that. My husband loved food, cooked food. We were so excited. The next day, I was in a meeting, so we worked from home. I was in a meeting, Zoom meeting. There was a call, but I didn't hear the call. Later, so I got to understand that the call was to tell me that my husband was going to be sedated. We were not going to be able to talk because, they need to make him rest for his lungs. So I got the message from my sister-in-law. So my sister-in-law was like, okay, no, okay, it's sad that I didn't get the message, but okay, hopefully soon. But it was like, okay, this person was fine. So now suddenly, what's going on? But I thought, no, it's fine. It will happen. So at the time when my husband was in the hospital, I had a support from my family, both from my husband's side and my maternal side, or my family side. I had a prayer warrior who was my sister-in-law. We prayed together. We prayed at night, 12 o'clock. We prayed. When I'm so when my husband was was sedated, I was not allowed to visit him still. But a couple of days, like a week later, I was allowed to visit him. I was the only person who visited him in the entire family. Um, so when I visited him, he was not talking. But I talked to him. I made video clips for him from the family, from the kids, from us. also praying for him. So when I got to the hospital bed all the time, I would talk to him. I'll pray first, talk to him. After talking to him, get my sister-in-law on the WhatsApp, and then we pray. We used to pray like crazy. The people at the hospital were like, these people. And the report that I would get all the time was like, you know what? Nothing has changed. The more the nurse would tell me nothing has changed, the more would pray. We prayed like no one's business. I'd go home, come from the hospital. I had to develop some sense of bravery because I was working with two minor kids at home. I would have to give back the 2 hours that I took from, or 4 hours that I took from work. I had to give them back. So, say for instance, I have to see my husband at 6 o'clock. So I'd leave the house 6 o'clock until 8 o'clock. I'm there. When I come back, I have to pay those hours. But before I pay the hours back, I had to give a report to my kids. And mind you, it has to be a calculated report. I wouldn't say to my kids, actually, there's so many machines around him. The condition is not so great. I had to tell the kids, okay, you know what? It's going to be okay. He's still sleeping, sedated, but yeah, we'll get there. And it would to kill me to say that to my kids because the image was completely different. But I had to tell my kids, I had to give them something to hold on to. I had to give the report to my husband's family, my other family. I had to give the report to my sisters. I had to give the report to my husband's employer. It was such a heavy burden. Each time I go to the hospital, I'm excited I'm going to talk to my husband because when I talk to him, he used to squeeze my hand sometimes or try to breathe even more. So the nurse would tell me, no, he's actually hearing you. So I used to be excited those moments. But coming back was draining, because I have to give the report to all these people, and each and every category of people the report had to be different, because I couldn't just put it out there, because some of the people that you talk to are not Christians, they can discourage you. So it was draining, but I forged ahead. At night, we still have to pray. Time went by. Go to the hospital. I had it all. I had all the hospital. The ICU sounds, machine sounds. The machines. Each time I go, there was a new machine that they're trying on my husband. Each time I asked the nurse, I had stopped asking the nurse how things are. I became a nurse myself. So I started going there, checking the machines. I'm like, okay, what is this machine for? I developed really like a thick skin now because I'm tired of being told nothing is happening. And it's almost like people don't care, how they say these things. So I was like, okay, it's fine, whatever. I stopped asking the nurses what's going on. The pulmonary specialist even wanted to speak to me, but I was like, it's okay. If he speaks with me, it's okay, but I'll continue doing what I'm doing. Pastor Claire was talking about a woman whose child was possessed. It reminded me, it brought something to mind. As Christians, we tend to say, let the will of God be done. Death is written, guys. Death is written. It's inevitable. It shall happen. Does it mean if it happens, God doesn't love us? Does it mean that? No. As Christians, we tend to look at the story in the Bible and, things, it's far-fetched. No. The story in the Bible does apply today. If Jesus died, the Son of God, who are we? Who are we? If we say we're Christians, we walk in the footsteps of God. and Jesus. We are going to go through what Jesus went through in our own way. During the time that I continued to pray with my sister-in-law, would wake up at 12 o'clock in the night, morning time. There is no prayer I haven't prayed for healing. There is no scripture I haven't searched for healing. There was a time when this is like February, March. It's closer to March. My husband's still sedated. He's still not talking. In fact, more and more machines are being used. So one time when I was praying with my sister-in-law, something happened to me. The Spirit just said to me, "You've been praying a wrong prayer. You've been selfish." When I finished praying with her, I just developed like a sense of bravery that was completely different from what I ever expected in my life. Instead of sleeping, instead of us talking, I said to her, "Today I'm not going to talk after the prayer." I started praying on my own. I prayed to God. I said, "God, I have been praying and you haven't been answering. I have an idea why. God, I've been praying a selfish prayer. God, this is the time that I'm praying to you and I'm saying to you." But prior to that, when I came back from my husband the same day, I had talked to my husband and said to him, "You know what? Would you please talk to your God and agree with your God about the decision? What decision you want? If the decision aligns with God, your decision or your prayer request aligns with God, allow God. Do not listen to me anymore. Listen to what God says to you and then pray that prayer, and I'm with you." I asked my husband, "Forgive me for anything that I have done to you if I have wronged you, and I forgive you for anything that you've done to me if you wronged me. I just want you to pray and then listen to your God." At that moment, then I left and went home. That's when I started this prayer after 12 hours. After praying that, I felt a sense of relief so much that I've never had before. The next day, I was in a meeting again, in a Zoom meeting. Somebody knocks at the door to say, "You are needed at the hospital." I was like, "I'm needed at the hospital?" Yeah, you guessed it right. My husband had passed on. God has taken his son back where he needed him. So afterwards, I started talking to the people from his workplace. One of the women told me that, "Actually, you know what? Before your husband was sedated, I had a talk with him and I led him to Christ." Yes, I led him to Christ. My husband was a born-again a Catholic, but you do not know at that moment what he was feeling about God. You don't know what he thought, his thoughts about God. But to know that his spirit is with God is the most amazing gift ever. And that gave me more bravery than anything. Thank you very much.
Eyes too deep, guys. Eyes too deep, yo. Eyes too deep, too deep. Our next speaker, I know her, you know her. If you don't know her, you're going to know her. Please welcome Auntie Cynthia.
Hey, so my name is Cynthia. I'm a mother, like all the other mothers that were mentioned by Pastor Lorraine. So my story is not mine. So I actually had to ask permission from my daughter if I could share the story with all of you, but I'm part of the story anyway. So it's still very close to my heart because I'm living it. So I think it's every mother's nightmare, having to wait and wait for the results from the doctor. So this was after my daughter. We call her JJ. It's a nickname. I guess the nickname came because she was a special child. I think most of you don't know about it, but when I conceived JJ, I didn't even know I was pregnant. But somebody dreamed that I was pregnant. So she actually told me, "You're going to have a child," but I dreamed that the child's name will be JJ. So I thought, oh, okay. Then weeks after, then yes, I did find out I was pregnant. I've been struggling for years to fall pregnant. She's got a brother who's older than her. So when Tiseso was 2, we tried, but we couldn't win. But eventually, when Tiseso was 6, then I fell pregnant. So for me, she was a special child because I didn't have hope. So this is 2020 now. She's 9. So COVID days, and we on lockdown, middle of COVID, the kids are home. I'm working from home as well. So one morning she wakes up and I noticed that she's got this rash. She's a dog person. We've got 4 dogs in the house. And yeah, so she goes and sings with the dogs after doing her homework. So I noticed this rash when she wakes up. So I said, stop playing with the dogs because you know you're getting this rash. She says, it's not the dogs. I was picking up some flowers. So I said, okay, fine. I let it go. A week later, it spread through her body. And then I'm thinking, what could this be? So I asked the helper, please clean the mattress, everything. Maybe it's the fabric that we're using, whatever. So we did that. Still, it doesn't go away. So COVID days, we limited to go to hospitals, but we forced things because we want to see something happening. Unfortunately, only one person is supposed to go to hospital, not 2, so it's me. The dad is at home. So I take her to the GP, checks and says, I don't know what this is because I've never seen anything like this. It's spreading through and it's like bends, like pimples, but are big everywhere. So then the doctor was like, when she gives you the look, like something is not right. So she says, go and see a dermatologist. So she gives me a letter. I go and see a dermatologist, checks and says, you know what, I think I'm suspecting something here, but I don't want to be, to say this is what I'm suspecting. But let's do tests. So she says, let's do something called, now I can't think, biopsy. So she does a biopsy, but remember, it's done when you're alive, so she doesn't give you any anesthetic. So she dips something in her skin, so she takes out piece of her flesh on the raw skin. So it's painful, she's screaming. Pastor Lauren just mentioned, your child is screaming like, Mom, really, you want me to go through this, but I want you to go through this so that we understand what you're going through. So she does that, and then she takes it to the lab. Days after, that's the waiting I was talking about. It's a nightmare. You're waiting, like, how many days must I wait now? 3 days later, a call comes. I'm working, like Vuyo. You see a call, then you think, this doesn't sound right. Like your stomach just feels, this is not going to be good news. And then she says, Cynthia, sit down. So I said, I'm seated. So she says, your daughter is diagnosed with lupus. Thinking, lupus, what is that? He says, okay, you need to see a specialist because this is a disease. Like, okay, the 5 stages now of denial. You think, okay, it can't be me. I've been a good mother. My kids don't even drink soft drinks. We try and limit our food, and we try and not eat too much of takeaway. So, where did I go wrong as a mother? And you get angry, like Job in the Bible. You get angry and think, I've been such a good servant to you. I've been doing this and this and that. And then you give me this, and not even to me, to a 9-year-old. And how do I explain to this child that this is going to be your life? From now on, you're going to be on tablets. I don't know how many there will be, but you are going to be on tablets. Anyway, that was it. That was the journey we were going to take. She's got diagnosed now with lupus. She now has to take like 12 tablets in one go. Every day we have to get a medication box, count all those tablets, put them into order. You need to take this, Jay. Got angry with God, cried myself to sleep every night, lost weight, I couldn't eat. I didn't have answers. Like, where do I get answers? Okay, the doctor said, no, don't worry. There's groups that you can join, Facebook groups that you can join. There's people there that have walked this journey before. They'll help you out. There I am, a mother, one support. It's COVID times. I can't get together in church. Yes, we do those talks, but you need somebody that understands what you're going through. I joined the group, but in the group you get more miserable because every day you look at the status, one of them died. When you look at this, one of them is admitted. So I thought, is this the group I want to be in? So I said, God, I'm laying my life in front of you now. I'm surrendering. I've thought I've known everything, but I can see I cannot. I need you. Then he said, go back to the Bible. Cynthia, trust me. I had a series of stories that I read that for me today I take with me that you will go through the stages of life. You'll go through the wilderness. I was in the wilderness then. When I was going through what I was going through, I was in the wilderness. But he was preparing me for me to accept the journey that I'm walking with my daughter to give her the support. So we went through that. I eventually accepted that this is what it is. There's nothing we can do, but I must trust God that He knows why I'm going through this. So the one thing, or the three things I actually want to leave you guys with is something that kept me going till to date. If I should ask you guys, when you go to your doctor, you do choose your doctor. Am I right? You do choose your doctor. And why do you choose them? Because you go and read their comments and what people say about them and say, oh, he's a good doctor, he's healed so many people. You do that. So it means you know that your doctor is competent, isn't it? So why can't we do the same with God? Why can't we say, he knows what he's doing? He's got all these comments from all the stories we read in the Bible. So what I'm leaving you guys with is the journey. The reason why I am here today is because I'm content with what I'm going through. I'm trusting God that this journey is walking me through. It's in the wilderness. I will reach the promised land.